Hello and welcome to Dinis Guarda YouTube podcast series powered by citiesabc.com and openbusinesscouncil.org. And I'm actually happy to highlight today that we were actually certified silver by YouTube. And as well, we have a final certification with over 100,000 followers and as well, at the moment close to 14 million views. So thank you all for making this happen. And without further delay, I'll go to my special guest of today and as well about how we're going to be talking today and about some of the things we're going to be focusing. So today we're going to be touching an area that is quite sensitive for everyone, that is about I would say the area more important that is about our personal mental health and all the challenge with that, but as well how we deal with society in a lot of different parts. So I welcome to our series Zach Schleien, the CEO of Filteroff App and mental health advocate that has been helping at the moment, I think, directly close to 1,000 families worldwide. So Zach is a serial entrepreneur, best-selling author, and a mental health thought leader and advocate, and a digital personality. He has over 10 years of experience in terms of digital and is currently leading the Filteroff App, which we're going to be talking about. That is a video speed dating app for brands, nonprofits, and influencers to connect with their audiences. And Zach has been educated in information management from Syracuse University and has developed a career around entrepreneurship and as a digital marketing, and as well working with brands like Johnson & Johnson and a lot of different things in terms of business analysts and as well global health services team. As a serial entrepreneur, Zach Schleien has founded several companies like Begin You, a platform for college students to find projects to work opportunities to develop their skills, TopRomp, Lift Protein Muffin, and recently, of course, Filteroff App, which is the focus as well of this interview. And I think one of the areas, of course, is this focus on mental health and all the different things that relate with this. And he was involved in several campaigns and projects like Caring Crowd and the crowdfunding platform for non-for-profits, NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Illness. And he was awarded the EU Leader Young Professional of the Year in 2018, and has been as well involved in a lot of different things related with thought leadership, social impact, and as well how we can actually bring all these different technologies for better. So welcome to our series.
Thank you so much for having me.
So Zach, you have quite out of the box profile, because from the digital marketing to being actually going through a non-linear perspective, and I think that's a quite important part, especially because digital is creating a lot of mental health and vice versa. But as well, there's a lot of different areas that you've been actually pushing within your career and within your present entrepreneurship and behavior. So can you tell us a bit about your background? I always like to start by the basis. So education, a bit of a family background if you want to touch, because of course they touch who you are today.
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up in Westchester, New York, so right outside of New York City. I did my undergrad at Syracuse University. I was a history major, marketing minor, originally wanted to go to law school. Soon realized I did not want to go to law school and kind of fell into my first startup. It was a tech company called Begin You, as you mentioned, connecting students to startups so they could gain real world experience. And from there, I really just fell in love with tech and entrepreneurship. And that was really always my dream, having my own company, being financially independent, and just focusing on one really amazing company. And unfortunately, Begin You didn't work out, but I ended up getting a scholarship at Syracuse to go for my master's program, decide to pursue information management to continue my interest in technology. At the same time, I was doing a lot of marketing on the side and learning about digital marketing, and I consider myself a marketer. And from there, started another company called Lift Protein Muffins. I started that actually with my mom, learned a lot about e-commerce, ended up getting a full-time job at Johnson & Johnson following my master's program. And around that time, I started an online mental health community called 18%, which I no longer work on, but it was a really amazing project. And I also started Filteroff, a video speeding app, which is currently my full-time job. And that's kind of where I put all my attention towards. And I've really had a passion for marketing, building community, and connecting humans in a more efficient manner.
Amazing, and I think it's quite impressive the way you shift from different topics, and as well you kept building that part. So, what did you brought into digital marketing? And a bit of, because of course digital marketing, everything right now is about digital marketing. Let's put it that way. But how did you get into that? And I think about a bit about the basis how you start getting into that, because you have quite a lot of different expertise, both in crowdfunding, both in creating marketeer, and of course this is right now the new venture. But I want to get to, because everyone has a kind of a story how they get into marketing or digital, what were the tools, is more social media, is more media buying, is more all different parts, and a bit of layer on that expertise and passion that you have.
Yeah, so when I was in college, I was in sales. I did some sales jobs. I worked at Cutco. It was a knife company, and I was pretty good at it. And then I also worked at Best Buy. And I liked sales. I thought it was a bit easy, and I wanted to try something to expand myself, try something new and challenge myself. So I saw marketing kind of go hands in hand with sales. And in terms of marketing, a lot of it like biz dev and partnerships is kind of how I first started. And so I just started learning about digital. I read as many blogs as I could, went on Reddit, ran my own dating blog called TopRomp. So I learned a lot about SEO, content writing, analytics. Yeah, and I just kind of fell in love with digital because I saw it as a new skill set, a more of a hard skill that I can learn and allow it to be translated into other industries and other interests that I may have.
Fantastic. So let me ask you that, because you mentioned dating and the part of it, because this is a big industry. I remember that one of my first jobs, actually, it was actually, I think, my only job that I was not working for me a second. And one of the things was precisely working in a dating app. And dating is actually one of the things that is more digital. And that brings us as well to your present in behavior. But as well, can you tell us about that experience in particular, and how did you get from there to create a lot of different things that you are doing now?
Yeah, I was always fascinated with online dating industry, the ability to connect with people outside your friend circle. And that's why I started a dating blog. I was like, I'm super passionate. I want to do something to contribute to the industry and kind of take this passion and create something out of it. And that's why I started TopRomp. So I reviewed different dating apps and hacks for millennials. Ended up, like I said, I learned a lot about the industry, but also about growth and digital and marketing in general. And it was fun to just learn a lot while pursuing this passion. And I always knew I wanted to start a dating app at some point, just wasn't sure what, and ended up selling that dating blog to a Canadian company. And around that time is when I kind of started thinking about what sort of thing I want to do next. And for me, video was always something I was interested in. And when I would video chat prior to meeting up with someone, it was just a much more efficient experience in terms of just understanding and seeing who that person is before meeting them in person, see if we had chemistry, see if we were both attracted. And that's why I really fell in love with video. I saw it as a really efficient, safe, amazing, just experience that dating apps were not doing at the time. Ended up launching Filteroff prior to the pandemic. And then in April of the year of the pandemic, we got New York Times, BBC, and we really started taking off. And then last year, we ended up raising from Anheuser-Busch, ZX Ventures. We ended up raising close to 2.5 million, and they were our lead investor. So it's really been an amazing journey. I ended up leaving my full-time job, Johnson & Johnson, and now full-time on Filteroff, and it's been amazing.
So tell us what is Filteroff, and for people listening, I'll just shortly give an overview. So I will just go through this, and the provocation now goes to you. So Filteroff is a speed dating app for brands, non-profits, and influencers to connect with their audience. That's a fantastic thing. So tell us what it is, how it works, and how can you get involved.
Yeah, so Filteroff, as you mentioned, it's a video speed dating app. You can join for free on Android, iOS, or the web. And we offer these speed dating like virtual events. So you could go on these like 4-minute speed dates with other people in attendance. Aside from that, we also have different communities who host their own events for their members or their audience. And then more recently, we introduced in real life events all around New York City that we run 1 or 2 times per week. So these different types of singles parties, whether they're on lounges or yachts, and they're with different sorts of communities, Jewish communities, South Asian communities, 90s parties. So they're a lot of fun. But yeah, we are a video speed dating app in short.
So, and for instance, can you tell us a bit, because you're talking as an expert? A lot of people, most of the people that I've been, although of course you and me can talk about hours for this on the technical expertise, but let's go how it works, okay? Because I think it's an important thing, especially for people listening to us. One of the things I learned, I'm building metaverse technology and 3D and all these advanced stuff, but sometimes people don't even know how it works. And I think this part, particularly the fact that you are putting a lot of different layers, they're not conventional, and you call it's not a convention, it's more a network. But I like that you call it a speed dating app for brands and for all the different parts. So let's say a user journey, 1 or 2 user journeys that you can tell us about how it works.
Yeah, for sure. So you first install the Filteroff app. You create a profile, you indicate your interests, and then you get something called daily picks. And every day you'll get picks. Picks will be different people that fit your preferences, as well as virtual events. So let's say you're interested in a person. You say that when you're interested, it's actually saying that you're interested in video chatting with them. So it's a very different paradigm than typical dating apps. So if you're interested in them, and then if they indicate interest in you, you actually coordinate a time to video chat. And if you don't within a week, the match actually expires. And when you do jump on a video chat with this person, it's 4 minutes in length. There's icebreaker questions, and it's timed. So once it concludes, it'll ask you whether you like them or not. And if you're a match, you can then message or video call again. If you attend one of our virtual speed dating events, it's more like a round robin. You have up to like 10 dates that evening, video speed dating style, again, 4 minutes each. And it works the same way. If you like them and they like you, you could then message them or jump back on another video chat. And then aside from the virtual aspect, we layer it with an in-person aspect, and those are more singles parties that we're doing right now in New York City. The virtual aspect is taking place all around the world.
So one of the things that I'm particularly interesting is how you build an audience around an app and how you get success. And I think that's probably the $1 million question, because like you said, you had recently funding and you had a lot of experience on that. But it's a big challenge that I've been finding is that most of people put an app or put a website that don't really know how to get traffic, and they really get stuck and nothing happens. And that's partly why you guys create Filteroff. That is probably that. But let's say why, if I'm a brand or if I'm an influencer, why I should use Filteroff, because it's a big challenge right now, for instance, for an influencer to, if you get outside of let's say the major social media platforms, to really make business. And even when you have a big audience or stuff like that, monetizing is even more difficult. So how do you solve these problems?
Good question. So communities like a Facebook community or nonprofit or even a creator on Instagram or TikTok can host free virtual speed dating events as well. So they could create it private for their audience or community, and they could even sell tickets directly on our platform. So we've had some creators who actually attend virtual speed date with fans, or just have their fans meet other fans. So you have this common connection, you're associated with the brands or the influencer. And now we've also been providing influencers and brands and organizations partnership on the in real life perspective. So we can secure a yacht or a lounge or a bar in New York City and run a private event with these brands or influencers for their audience as well, and their singles events, and it doesn't cost them a dime. And as you may or may not know, venues in New York City are quite expensive. They could range, for private venues, they could range anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000.
Fantastic. And for instance, in this part, so let's go a bit more layer. I like to go the rabbit hole. So let's say I'm an influencer. I want to do an event and I want to engage my audience, but there's a challenge on that. So where exactly, so let's say I sign up to the process, I can actually activate through my Instagram. So a bit like this nitty gritty, if you could actually go on that direction. Because I think this is really important. And I think you make a big, I think probably you'll make a lot of explanation on these things. This is one of the challenges that I've been finding is how you get from the theory to the practice on these things. And especially even with a lot of high profile personalities that I'm working and being an influencer myself as well, I struggle to find solutions that actually help people really getting into the right direction. So
yeah, so as a influencer or a brand, you can create your own virtual speeding event. So again, same way, you install the app, you go to the events tab, and there's a create an event button, and it's free to create. So you could add your own custom branding, you could add an intro video, you could have ticket sales, or you can make it for free. And then you can make it like a private event just for your audience. And then once you create that, you start sharing that with your audience. People start RSVPing for your event, and then the virtual speeding takes place. So again, it's again, as the influencer, you can make it like 4-minute dates, 5-minute dates, whatever you want. And your audience essentially dates one another. You could attend or you don't have to attend. That's totally up to you. Many of our brands or influencers are already in relationships, so they don't, but some are not. And yeah, so it's just like a speed dating session for your community or audience.
fantastic. So one of the things you have is that within the app you have a series of communities, and that's probably one of the features. I know that the app is quite recent. So tell us about these communities and how we can actually engage with the communities. So for instance, if you look at probably the apps that have been more successful, the ultimate, of course, is TikTok, but it's different because in your case you have a B2B2C approach towards the app. So for instance, how is differentiating and how we get, for instance, the difference between your app and the TikToks and all these different platforms that are much more B2C and much bigger scale platforms and much bigger funded as well.
Yeah. So the B2B play is really from a partnerships perspective. Again, if you're a brand or a creator and you want to host your own virtual speeding event, so we give them a platform to do so for free and then monetize and engage with our audience. So we have different communities like Meet You or Subtle Create Dating who will host virtual speeding events on our platform for their audience. And then they also optionally host in-person events. So we recently hosted a yacht party with Subtle Create Dating, had about 250 South Asian singles, sold tickets through our platform, a way for their community to engage their audience, provide a fun activity, and then also make money.
Fantastic. So I think with the app is straightforward, and we'll put links to the app and different things. So tell us the work you've been doing in terms of different communities and especially things related with mental health. How does it get, and how there's a relationship between the work previously and what you're doing right now with Filteroff?
Yeah, I mean, with Filteroff, again, it's connecting singles in a really authentic, efficient, and safe manner. The work around mental health started a few years back. I had a close family friend by the name of Lewis who had bipolar and schizoaffective disorder. And one day he went for a walk, didn't come home, and his remains were found near a river. And in his honor, I ended up raising close to $10,000 to support families where at least one member of their family had some sort of mental health challenge. Ended up hitting my goal through crowdfunding. Following that, I wanted to create a community for other young people who are going through mental health challenges. And I started a community called 18%. It was hosted on Slack, and it provided peer-to-peer support. And there's different channels: anxiety, bipolar, depression, schizophrenia. And it really grew. It went to over 20,000 people. We partnered with the crisis text line and different suicide hotlines around the United States, where they would send members who were not suicidal, but looking for support. And then a couple months later, I also started another campaign on the platform Caring Crowd, which was hosted by Johnson & Johnson, no longer exists, but it was a wonderful platform, and raised another $30,000. Also donate the proceeds to NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness, which is a great nonprofit. So yeah, did a lot of work in that space. Did 18% for about 5 years. Ended up dissolving the community, but our moderators started another mental health community not affiliated with 18%, so providing people, again, peer-to-peer support. So I think the commonality between 18% Filteroff, again, I really like connecting people in an efficient way to provide them some sort of support. And when it came to mental health, it was to provide a peer that they could speak to. And then in terms of Filteroff, it's an efficient way to get face-to-face with someone through video.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think that's one of the areas that is very dear to me, and it's quite complex right now. So for people listening to us, and in terms of the way you manage the community part of Filteroff, and as someone that has that conscience, what are the guidelines that you give to people that, for instance, influences, the relationship between influences? And right now we have so much stuff right now and so much technology that comes out of this. How do you relate these different things right now with between the digital component, the mental health, the community building, and the impact in terms of the influences? Because as you know, there's a lot of issues happening all the time, especially with the influencers, especially in fashion. There's from suicidal to a lot of other issues that we've been facing, but as well a lot of bullying, especially as metaverse becomes more advanced. This is going to be a bigger challenge because at the moment we have our own avatars and our own different parts.
So is the question like, do you mind just framing the question one more time?
Yeah, I'm asking, how do you deal in your app and Filteroff and within the communities of influencers and different personalities with the problems potential of protecting people from any digital issues, digital bullying, or mental health issues?
Yeah, I mean, on Filteroff, we have robust reporting functionality. So we take that extremely seriously. There's another challenge with online dating, which is scammers. So we recently released an article which was covered by TechCrunch and Gizmodo, where we actually started scamming our scammers. So scammers would go onto our platform on Filteroff. Our algorithm would detect that they're a scammer, and we would actually siphon them into a different pool aside from our users. And we introduced bots using GPT-3 to communicate with the scammers. And these bots would drive the scammers crazy because the scammers would ask for money, and eventually the scammers would realize they're speaking to a bot. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a layer of, again, reporting functionality, using algorithms, and then, yeah, just I think it's the intersect between technology, but also really trying to provide a great user experience. And that's really the core of Filteroff that we want to provide.
Yeah, this is very interesting, that part. And do you think you can scale that to the next level in terms of making it a bigger stuff that can actually make interoperability with different platforms, or at the moment you're using only for your part right now?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think so. We're a team of 5. If we've had a number of people after that TechCrunch article ask, hey, could we buy your software solution around scammer detection and try introducing the bots and using GPT-3? We're like, hey, we're not offering that out. It's just in-house. I think what it comes down to is every thing that you do, if you start selling something new, like that takes a lot of effort in itself. We really want to be focused on the dating app, and we've built tools in-house to enhance the functionality of the dating app, keep it safe, a great user experience. So that's something we've thought about. Right now, though, we're keeping it in-house.
No, completely. So I think it's an interesting point. So, any other things that you want to tell to your audience related with your app and the way you want to take for people an invitation and how to find your app and as well engage with other personalities? Any highlights of other influences that you brought to the table so far?
Yeah. So, um, if you are single and looking to meet someone, the app is Filteroff, so available on Android as well as iOS. It's a free app. And if you are a brand or a community looking to engage your audience or make additional revenue, you could create your own virtual speed dating event right through the app. If you're New York City based, we partner with all sorts of communities and creators to give them free venues, DJ, security, alcohol sponsors. So we really work closely with any of these brands or communities. In terms of just like fun experiences in the past, we recently ran an event with Vouch Dating, Subtle Curry Dating, Meet You, NYC for free. So she's a pretty big creator in New York City. So all sorts of communities and brands to just provide really fun experiences for singles in New York City and even around the world virtually.
Okay, fantastic. So to finish and to wrap up, so why I should choose your app versus any other ones? I'm not going to mention names that we have around the world.
Yeah, when it comes down to it, is online dating right now is quite frustrating. You're swiping for hours, you match, then it doesn't go anywhere. Or sometimes you match, you message back and forth, the conversation dies. Or maybe you then meet the person and then you realize 5 minutes in, you don't even want to be on that date. The beauty of Filteroff, we really created a new paradigm for online dating, being a forefront of the online dating industry when it comes to video first, having a really human experience and introducing communities to provide that level of trust when you're on our platform. So it's, again, a efficient, a safe way to online date, and you get to see people and it's not focused on the profile.
No, completely. So I think fantastic. So I would suggest, thank you so much for your time. I will recommend for people to look, and I think I'm very into video. I have been experiences myself in the past, of course, with dating, and I work actually with some dating apps. And I think what you guys are doing is quite interesting, especially these filters and the scam filters. So good luck for the project, and it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.